Hello, boys and girls. This trophy here is about a pigeon called flagpole. And I'm going to tell you how flagpole got his name. My father had pigeons, about 200 of them. And every morning he would go up on the roof and let his pigeons out early in the morning. He loved to watch them fly. They would circle around, and the morning sun would hit them and reflect off of them, and they looked like a rainbow in the sky, moving around. He loved it. They were beautiful. But this one day, when he let them out, one pigeon flew out and landed on top of the flagpole. Now, my father didn't like that. He didn't like that at all. He wanted his pigeons to fly. But the pigeon stayed on the flagpole. My father thought maybe he was sick. But suddenly he flew off and flew around and was slapping his wings, feeling happy. He was feeling good. He was happy to be on the flagpole. But my father didn't like it. When the pigeons came down, my father would blow a whistle and they would come down, but not flagpole. He stayed on the flagpole. That's how he got his name, landing on the flagpole. Well, my father was very upset. But when he grabbed the feed can and he put it in the coop, flagpole came down to eat with the other birds. I guess he was hungry. My father looked in the coop, and flagpole was a beautiful pigeon. He had pearl white eyes, a beautiful pink beak, and beautiful shiny black feathers. And he looked at flagpole and he said to flagpole, "Look, you're a beautiful pigeon, but you gotta fly with the other pigeons. You can't go on the flagpole." Flagpole just kind of looked at him and danced around with his mate. And, he didn't pay him any mind. But my father warned him, fly with the other birds. Well, the next morning when my father went up to let the birds out again to see the rainbow in the sky, not flagpole. All the other pigeons went up, but flagpole went right up on top of the flagpole and stood there just like this, with his wings out, his chest out, and his wings raised very high. He loved to be on top of that flagpole. He would fly off and circle around, but land on the flagpole again, put his chest out and his wings raised high. He loved to be on the flagpole. But my father was very upset. He didn't like it. He wanted him to fly with the other birds. When my father blew the whistle, all the birds came down. When he grabbed the feed can, flagpole came down and went in the coop. But my father was very upset. He grabbed flagpole, put him in a paper bag, and took him to the pigeon exchange and sold him. He looked back as flagpole was in the screen. You could see flagpole was very unhappy. He didn't like being in that screen. He wanted to be home with his mate and on top of the flagpole. But my father said to him, "That's the end of that. Goodbye. I'll never see you again." Well, 2 weeks went by. My father was letting the birds out. They would all fly like a rainbow in the sky. He loved it. But then he glanced at the flagpole. And there was a pigeon up there with his chest out and his wings raised high. Yeah, that's right. You guessed it. It was flagpole. He came home. And he was on top of the flagpole. With his chest out and his wings raised high, he was so happy to be home. He was circling around the flagpole, and he landed on the flagpole. When my father blew the whistle, all the pigeons came down, but not Flagpole. He stayed there with his chest out and his wings raised high. When he grabbed the feed can, Flagpole came down and went in the coop. My father looked in the coop and said, "You're lucky this time. You came home. But don't go on that flagpole, or I'll sell you again." Well, the next day when my father let the pigeons out, Flagpole went right up to the flagpole. He paid my father no mind. My father got upset, put him in the paper bag, took him to the pigeon exchange and sold him again. But the flagpole came home again. He landed on the flagpole. My father sold Flagpole 14 times, and 14 times Flagpole came back and landed on the flagpole. He put his chest out and his wings raised high. When he came down the 14th time, my father looked in the coop and said, "I give up, Flagpole. You're much smarter than me, and you pay me no mind. You can go on the flagpole. I'm tired of selling you." And that's the story of Flagpole. So children, I hope you enjoyed the story. And please tell your friends about Flagpole. He was a beautiful pigeon.